Vicky says, thanks to all of you for doing this. No problem, Vicky. I got a bit of a cold, a bit of a man flu today. But, oh, my wife's in here. Hey, honey. she must be bored.
We'll give the guys a few minutes to get into the room, and then we'll get started.
No problem at all. I'm just checking my staff member has cleared the scan page in case you want me to show any scans or anything like that. Yeah, we look good. Closing down Facebook so I don't get Facebook messages.
I'm going to push this to Messenger. Facebook.
All right. So now, guys, I'm not really familiar with sort of the format that you've been doing and what steps you've taken prior to this webinar. Have you had multiple webinars leading up to this one? And what's the overall content about this one? And how can I contribute? Certainly able to talk about anything that we currently have going on with PA. Field any questions that you may have. And yeah, I'll take a bit of guidance from you guys. I didn't prepare that much today personally because I have been a bit under the weather, but I think it's fair to say that I know the software fairly well and I should be able to handle most things you guys throw my way. So
yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So we have had maybe about almost a year now, Chris. You'd say like we held a back-to-back two-part like webinar series for Tactical Arbitrage, and then we decided that there's been a lot of updates since then. So we had a kind of a beginner intermediate webinar last week, and so this week will be more of like the advanced material, and then all the secrets that you guys have hidden there that we can uncover for Canadians, for us Canadians to use.
Excellent. Yeah, no worries. So obviously being in Canada, there's let me just check how many sites we've got there. We've got about 40 sites at the moment that are active for Canada. And one thing that I should suggest to you guys is that if you've got websites that you would like added to Tactical Arbitrage, can you shoot them through as support tickets? Or you can send them as private messages to me if you like, but stuff gets actioned faster via email, and we'll shoot that up the line to try and add those additional sites. But obviously being in Canada, you're probably also doing US to US, and
yes.
And there's hundreds and hundreds of sites there. But if you wanted to play a little bit more in the home area, then adding more sites is probably useful for you guys for the online arbitrage side of things at least.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good. Sounds good. Chris, you have presentation prepared for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to go into a few things. I'm going to kind of show everybody how to get a little bit more horsepower out of the full suite if they have it.
Awesome.
And then I did put something together for everybody. I didn't want everybody to go away empty-handed because I know we had goodies last week. So I came up with an idea the other day and I put it together, and I was going to share that with everybody as well.
Awesome. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let's get started.
Excellent.
I gave you the ability to share your screen, so whenever you're ready, let's.
Oh, you want me to share my screen?
Or I believe Chris has a presentation.
Oh yeah, Chris. Yeah, let Chris do that. Just you just let me know if you want me to share anything or show anything at my end, and I can switch that on at any point. But
okay.
I'll just hover in the background for now. And
so I guess I kind of want to get a feel for the room. I did this last time. We talked a little bit about Where's everybody at? Where are the hangups? You know, what do you feel you don't know that needs to get you to the next level? That way I can kind of customize it a little bit. So feel free to put those in the Q&A. Feel free to put them in the chat. That way I can kind of on the fly switch gears if we need to. Okay, let me share my screen. And I'll tell you what I'll do first I will show you guys what I built, which it's not that big, but a lot of people don't do it or know how to do it. So I did it myself, and I'm going to give you guys a link so you can actually download a copy. But what I did is I downloaded the top 100,000 sellers, their name, their rating, how many reviews they have in the last 30 days. There's a pretty good estimate of how many verified listings they have. And then there's also a really cool thing right here, and this tells you what they primarily sell. Now, it's not perfect, but it is pretty spot on. Then you got a link to their storefront. And what is really handy about this is Q4 is really just around the corner. And let's say that you really want to, now, of course, a rising tide lifts all boats, but we know that toys and games is where it's at a lot of times during Q4, just because all the Rugrats need to get their gifts from Santa. So if you scroll down this page here, you're going to see that there are a bunch of toys and game sellers way down at the bottom. Let me just go a little further. There's a bunch of toys and game sellers. So one thing that you can do with this is you can actually click on the link. It's going to pop open right inside of Chrome if you make this a copy in your own Google Chrome or Google Drive account. And then you can, with a click of a button, you will be able to storefront stalk this, and it'll be ready for tactical arbitrage. So this is kind of a cheat sheet to getting started with Storefront Stalker and really reverse searching and making the most out of it. Now, one of the things that you also can do is there's a really cool extension. It's up here. It is called Open List. And now I would not suggest going too deep, maybe 10 at a time, but we can grab several links here, copy them, throw them into my open link, click open, and now I've got a bunch of storefronts ready to stalk. And the cool thing about Storefront Stalker is I can run this on more than one page at a time. So I can go there, and then I can go grab the next one, and then I can come back and pick these up as they finish. Oops, open the same one twice. So I can come back and open these up as they finish, save them, and then really quickly and easily merge these and throw them into a reverse search. So I'm going to give everybody a copy of it. You guys can save a copy and use it as you please. Now, what I did with this is I actually scrubbed this list. You get the top 100,000 sellers. Is a fairly easy thing to do. But I scrubbed out all of the people who haven't had any reviews in the past 30 days. And the reason being is a lot of times those people might be suspended. Here's one that actually got through. They might be suspended. They might not sell on Amazon anymore, but their account still shows up on these bestseller lists. And then I just put them in alphabetical order by what they sell primarily. Like I said, I've got that ready for everybody. You'll be able to go and grab yourself a copy and save it in your Google Drive or download the spreadsheet. And we can drop that link here in just a little bit. So hopefully that will be helpful to you guys. Now,
and it's not that hard to become a top 100,000 seller, actually, because you can see a lot of these stores only have like 100 products in them currently being sold. So if you aspire to be a top 100,000 seller on Amazon, then just put something in the rotation, put some products in the store, and 100 items later, you might be on that list yourself, and then people will be storefront stalking you.
Exactly. So, ton of stuff there. Like some of these have like 60, 70,000 products. So there's no shortage of products, and you really should be able to reverse search a ton of these. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is a link shortener. So it's a kind of a weird looking link, but here it is. Everybody can grab a copy there. Okay, so one of the first things I was going to show everybody, and these results are a few days old, so I just updated them, and they're not necessarily profitable anymore. But I want to show you guys the method to my madness. Now, library search is something that I don't touch on very often. However, even if you don't want to flip books from merchant fulfilled sellers back to Amazon, there is still a way to quote unquote make library search pay for itself that I'm not sure hardly anybody uses. And I think it's a sick little feature that people overlook. So what these results are in my library search right now is these results are actually trade-ins. I used to sell a fair amount of books, and it's just not really for me anymore, and I don't want to really flip books from merchant fulfilled to FBA, even though it's profitable. But I don't mind getting some gift cards every now and again and justifying the odd GoPro or new webcam purchase that I make. So one of the things that you can do is you can actually search for books on Amazon that would be profitable to purchase from a merchant fulfilled seller to trade in to Amazon and get Amazon gift cards. And now people are looking for these on occasion, but they're typically looking to flip books, as an acceptable MFR here to the Amazon acceptable buy box price of almost $230. What they're not looking for a lot of times is these trade-in profits, okay? Now, what you can do is you could actually buy this book from a merchant fulfilled seller, send it into Amazon, and let Amazon pay you in an Amazon gift card. So if you're just letting library search sit and not doing anything with it, you should at least set this up. But you have to set it up in a very particular way if you only want to see trade-in books, okay? So I'm going to do US to US. You could do this on Canada. Yes, you can do it from Canada to Canada as well. But I'm going to show you on the US. The mechanics are exactly the same. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to do the books, and I'm going to go to, let's go to book featured categories. I'm going to run down to, let's do medical books this time, okay? So I'm going to run through the medical books category in the reverse or in the Storefront Stalker portion. If you don't have it, you could do this with links over here, but this makes it really, really simple, okay? Now, the only thing I'm going to do in my store price or in my filters is, let's see, those are all good, okay? I am going to go to my profit and ROI, and I'm going to put in some really big numbers here, okay? I'm going to put in 99999 for my gross profit, and I'm going to put in another one for my ROI, and that is effectively going to cancel out any items that have a gross profit for flipping or a gross profit a gross ROI for flipping. However, I am going to put in here that I want to see anything that has, I don't know, a 5% or better ROI on trade-in. And that's the only thing I'm going to do. Everything else is going to stay blank. Once you do that and you run it, you're only going to get back books that are able to be traded in for a profit, okay? You can skip over all the flips, skip over everything else, and just find items that you can buy and send right back into Amazon and get a gift card into your Amazon account. And then you can use that for flips on toys or buying your own kids presents if you felt like it.
It's good for me to actually see you operating a page this way, because I can sort of see that you're doing a bit of a workaround there, and it wouldn't be overly complicated for me to eliminate the need for that workaround by simply just having a checkbox there saying only search for trade-ins, for example. So it would eliminate anything that was not a trade-in. You wouldn't have to do that extra trick. That's an excellent workaround, though. That'll certainly work, putting those high 999s in there and just utilizing trade-in. But yeah, seeing you do that, it gives me an idea for a simple feature to make that process easier in the future. So thanks for that. It's always good to these things.
Absolutely. Now, actually, Alex, while you're here, maybe you want to chat about the couple of new features that got dropped, because there's one of them that I think is really awesome. And I don't think people really know about it quite yet. Not everybody does anyway.
So not the multi-scan feature, but the new columns.
Yeah, I think it got announced and it was the middle of the night. I know I was sleeping, but it did not get the fanfare that I had hoped for it.
No. So the features that I added were primarily to do with they were born out of conversations with leading wholesalers like Eddie Levine and the guys from the Wholesale Formula and whatnot. And we sat down, we talked about the kind of things that we needed to add to make the wholesale section more robust. And we decided we would roll those additional features out to the other pages as well, because they were just as useful elsewhere too. And the key columns that we added were the percentage of the time that Amazon was a seller during the past 30 days. Now, we're probably going to expand upon that, because some people would like to see how much Amazon was like a seller in the last, say, 90 days, or with flips, maybe 365 days in some cases. So we're probably going to make that more robust. But for now, there is a column, which I can show you on my screen. Let me just jump in there.
Sorry,
right,
guys.
Yeah, you should be seeing my screen.
Perfect.
I'll try and make it a bit, because my resolution's pretty high. So, so if I do a product search here, USA to USA, and we'll do the super simple, obvious target. We'll go target toys, and we'll just add to bulk and just start scanning. So stuff just starts going in there. Now, so one of the main columns was the what percentage of time has Amazon been a seller for? The next column was, is Amazon a seller right now and in stock? Is Amazon a seller ever and in stock at the moment, and is Amazon a seller and out of stock, basically? And then it's probably better if I go to the view data page to show this. So, okay. Now, this column's being fixed. We found a bug in the Amazon cells and in stock. Every row should be populated. And actually, the bug only exists in product search. So it'll be fixed by this time tomorrow. Any wholesale searches, the bug does not exist. So, but anyway, this will be fixed by tomorrow. The Amazon cells and in stock column will have a result in every single cell for new scans as of tomorrow. The Amazon in stock 30 days, you can see that it says 0%, and you'll see that by the keeper graph, you can also tell that they were not in stock at all over the last 30 days. 100% this guy was in stock for, and 29% he was in stock for. And these are really good for checking for things like Amazon to Amazon flips. So we have actually rolled this out across Amazon flips now as well. Now, the feature you're probably talking about, though, is this one here. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the reason why this is a mouse over has to do with the speed that we can actually hit the Amazon API for this particular call. This particular call, you can only hit the Amazon API 200 times per hour, which is about once every 20 seconds. So we had the choice to either slow down the scan so that you only get one product delivered every 20 seconds, which isn't really an option, to be honest, or to have this mouse over feature in here. Now, what it does is, if I mouse over there, it'll say the breakdown of what the new sellers are. So in this case, we actually have 9 FBA sellers and 27 merchant fulfilled. But what is interesting is in the section below it, it says, now, of those sellers, within 5% of the buy box, we've got 3 sellers that are within 5% of the buy box that are FBA and 2 that are merchant fulfilled. Now, this is going to definitely affect your pricing strategy. If you see that there are no sellers within a percentage point of the buy box, then you're going to price your products accordingly. If everybody's all bunched up and all doing a big race to the bottom, you might find that 30 of those sellers are within 5% of the buy box, and that's kind of a dangerous playing field. It definitely gives you a better view of the landscape by having that there. And what you can do is up the top here, you might prefer to see the competitive range in more like, say, 20% of the buy box. So by making that adjustment up there, and I'll bring that column actually a little bit closer to the left side so we can have it handy. Whenever I'm in a Zoom meeting, everything sort of takes an extra second to function. Okay, so I've got it over here now. So now that I've changed it to 20, so you see this guy here, this guy's got 9 items. This is a Zoom thing as well, the mouse over is playing up. So 9 items, right? So 3 of them are FBA and 6 of them are merchant fulfilled, but only 2 of these guys are within 20% of the buy box. So really, I'm not as interested in all 9 of these sellers. I'm only really interested in 2 of these sellers, and that's when I might want to click on the little Tactical Edge microscope and drill into this page a little more just to see exactly what's being shown here. I just tucked the keeper graph in there the other day as well because I thought that might be just that extra little bit of information without having to mouse over here. And yeah, you can see that the buy box is held by Amazon at $14. We got 1 FBA seller, as it mentioned on the view data page. He's within that price point as well. He's $14. You got 1 merchant fulfilled seller who I'm not that concerned about. He's at $16.27. Now, if I was to see on here, if I was to be utilizing these columns correctly, and if I was to see on here that Amazon was only in stock, say maybe 15% of the entire month, that they're going in and out of stock a lot, then I wouldn't be pricing like this We Love Deals guy. I wouldn't be pricing at $14 like he has. I would not be selling in the item at $14. That would be silly because Amazon's going out of stock a lot. I can see that there's no real competition for the buy box besides this guy who's just got a couple. And then you've got this merchant fulfilled guy here, and you know you can price higher than merchant fulfilled when you're trying to compete with the buy box. So my price point would probably be getting closer to more like this guy here, this fulfillment by Amazon seller, who's $19.62. There's a few other people that are bunched in that same area as well. So if I found something that was already a positive ROI at $14, and you know, this is one of the reasons why when I'm searching for ROI, I actually go for a really low ROI. I say, show me anything with greater than, say, 5%. And people like usually set their filters like, I want to see stuff over 30, 40%. But the thing is, this $19.62, this is 30 or 40%. So by me setting it at 5%, for example, this might have appeared in my hypothetical example, this particular product may have appeared, yet it would not have appeared to 90% of all the other people out there using tactical arbitrage because they didn't think to set the ROI a lot lower and then look at these other variables that come into play that may potentially have deals available they otherwise wouldn't see. You'll have to bear with me because I've got a cold and my brain's not working quite as well as it should. But hopefully you're getting the message that when you're setting up your search and you're putting in your profit and ROI there, and you've got only keep data if gross ROI is at least, I personally set this really low because I love drilling in to this extra little bit of data here. And now that you can sort of see things like what percentage is this guy in stock for, how close are the competitors to the buy box, it tells you so much more of the story that you're able to make these educated decisions on whether or not this is going to be good for you. And actually, did I just pop that tab out? You're probably not seeing what I'm seeing. Yeah, pop the tab out. So yeah, does that all make sense? What do you got to say about that, Chris? Am I on track with what you were thinking?
Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, there's a couple of things. One, you know, everybody complains about low ballers, and you're going to be able to have a little bit more information that will allow you to make a more comfortable decision to be patient and wait those people out. And then you're also just going to be able to price better, I think. I think you were spot on with that.
Yeah, and I would have loved this call to be like some of the Amazon API calls are 36,000 per hour, and we can just get everything we need really, really quickly. I would have loved for this data to be available in sortable column format, because it is an extra step to have to sort of mouse over this stuff, but it's such an extremely useful piece of data that adding it was a no-brainer. You know, we absolutely have to have that data in there. And wholesale guys are going to love this as well, because like especially wholesale guys seem to care a lot about whether or not Amazon's ever been a seller or not on the products, and whether or not the Amazon is currently in stock. So yeah, it's all very useful data and useful metrics to help you make a buying decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was helping someone today, and one of the reasons I really love this new feature is they were telling me, well, Chris, I can't find anything, and you know, I'm going to have to cancel. And I just said, let me see what your filters are. And the major problem is they didn't want anything with more than 20 sellers, and they wanted, you know, a 50% return on their investment. And I said, that's just too strict, because you're not competing against 30 sellers ever. You know, you're competing against 2 or 3. If you absolutely want to try and hold the buy box. And then being able to go in and look at Tactical Edge and seeing how many people have in stock just gives you a little bit more power. So
yeah, and look at this one, for example. Amazon clearly goes out of stock on this periodically, and they're in stock right now, but there's 0 people within 20% of the buy box. So I'm interested in this. I'm interested in pricing at least 20% above. It also tells me that there is mostly merchant fulfilled sellers on this. So it's one of these ones that I'd want to drill into and look further. And, you know, we're treasure hunting, right? So it's fun. I think it's fun. I love like analyzing deals further. Every time I see a little bit more data, it just helps me make my buying decisions better. So this guy goes out of stock a lot. Amazon's selling it for $539. So 20% higher than that is about the $640 mark, and that's kind of when our first merchant fulfilled seller is priced. And then there's more merchant fulfilled sellers and whatnot. But I mean, you could easily come in here as an FBA seller and price this at $700, providing you were getting that cheap enough and there was profit in it. You know, it's safe to say that Amazon sells out of this, and I would like to see over the course of say 90 days to see if they drop in and out. There's some gaps. It's a good selling item. It's selling regularly. They were recently unable to stay in stock for an extended period of time, but over the course of 3 months, you can see that they dropped out here and there. So there may be a bit of a waiting game during the times that Amazon's in stock. But let's see how we get a bit closer. Yeah, so throughout the year, it's just consistently them going out of stock for a few days every month. And that's when you're likely to sell your units. During those few days, priced accordingly with the information that you have here. You don't want to come in here and price at $537 to try and beat Amazon. And you might only make, your 1% profit that the system said that you could make. You want to basically come on in here and price that at $700 FBA and wait for these little gaps to happen again. So, you really have to use Tactical Edge and the data that you've got available to you when you're making your pricing decisions. I'm not a big fan of reprices, and I'll get a lot of people booing me for that, because in my experience, reprices are set badly by too many people in the community, and it ends up just being people trying to undercut by 1 cent, and then reprices fight reprices, and then you've got 1 cent undercut by 1 cent, undercut by 1 cent, and you get stuck in this never-ending loop. And the next thing you know, you're going to be stuck with inventory for a long time, because you've got this, particularly if it's a slow-selling item, and it's just going through this never-ending cycle of reducing by 1 cent at a time. So if you see that happening, if you see, you can normally see it pretty clearly in the keeper graph. If you see the price is just dip, 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 I would completely switch off your repricer if you use one. Have a look at how many of these guys have got in stock. Use the estimated sales data there to determine how long before they're going to run out of stock. Make sure it's in line with the storage fee costs that you're willing to take. You may even want to hold off on sending your stuff in based on storage fees. Just watch the graphs for a while, watch these people trickle out of stock, and then at the right moment, send it in. There's reasons why they may have got caught up into this race to the bottom. Sometimes people release lists of products. They're not as common as they were once upon a time, but once upon a time there was a lot of lists out there before these softwares came along, and you'd get 100 people all jumping on the latest Disney toy, and you could just see these races to the bottom, and everybody had their repricer switched on. It was just cent by cent by cent, the price would be going down, but there was still 200 units that had to be sold. And anyway, these days we have a lot more metrics. The estimated monthly sales data is fairly recent, and it's fairly accurate now, and it covers all countries except Australia, including Canada. Now, we just turned on estimated monthly sales for Canada yesterday. So that's really good for you guys to now know how many items are expected to sell per month within Canada. So if you are doing any local sales, make sure you look for that column, because that data is gold.
That's awesome.
Use that estimated monthly sales data for all of your decisions. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show it now, let you continue, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm open to field any more questions as you have them. No problem.
Now, one of the things I do want to ask you guys is where's your guys' business mostly? Are you looking for wholesale? Are you doing OA? I want to be able to, I've got a couple of ideas of where to go, and I want to make sure that we wholesale. Awesome. This is exactly, let's see, OA, mostly OA. Okay. All right. I'm going to show you guys, how to find wholesale leads. Okay. Everybody wants to do wholesale. And if you are in the Facebook groups, one of the things that you hear often is, hey, can anybody tell me where to find a wholesale product? And of course, then they are met with jeers and boos and laughter from the crowd. So you don't have to be that person. And I'm going to show you how easy it really is to use TA and to actually go out and find a wholesale product or a wholesale brand. And then with a little bit of white belt Google Foo, you will be able to find either a distributor or a phone number that you can call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up the scan. And what you're going to do is you're going to burn one of your wholesale scans just to find leads. Okay. And then I'm going to show you the Google Foo part with a product that I've actually gone out and found the phone number and I've actually called these people on the phone and spoken with them. Okay, so in your TA account, you're actually going to want a list of ASINs. You can use Storefront Stalker for this, and you can go out and find a niche that you're really interested in. You can go and do a bunch of storefronts. Whatever you do, you just need a list of ASINs. Now, I would really suggest grabbing the top, 100,000 or top 500,000 ASINs and using that, because that's probably where you're going to want to focus. Then the other thing I would suggest is wholesalers a lot of times want to buy products that might be ranked, 1 to 25,000. Now, Alex and I do have a friend, and he absolutely crushes at that model. It's ridiculous the volume that he's able to sell. However, he has a very unique business model that, well, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to replicate, and most of us probably don't want to replicate. But he's really good at it. And for the rest of us, we can focus on ordering smaller quantities and still be able to grab wholesale accounts fairly easily. But of course, you have to find them first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the wholesale search, and we're going to set up a scan, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm not doing any OA at the same time. But if you want to, you can, okay? You could turn on the reverse search inside of the wholesale to be able to kind of kill two birds with one stone. But today I just want to find wholesale leads. So I'm going to go us2.com. I am going to import a manifest. And you'll remember that manifests used to need a price, and they no longer need a price, okay? So we're not going to worry about that. And I'm going to upload a file that I have here. Let me go grab it. Where did I put it here? Desktop. There we go. Now this happens to be an arts and crafts file. This should be ranks number 1 through 25,000, okay? We're going to upload this, and you're going to see that the only thing I have here is the ASIN. Upload this. Now, if I were uploading a larger list, say 100,000, and it were just in a niche, that would be okay too. And I'm going to set my filters here the same way I would set my filters as if I were actually going and looking for a wholesale lead with this particular ASIN list. Now, I'm not going to adjust my prices at all because I know that I'm not going to be paying what it's selling for on Amazon. At least hopefully I'm going to be able to buy it at a profitable price. Now, there are some schools of thought where they will actually use this method that I shared, and they'll actually do what they call keystone pricing, and they'll put a 50% discount here, and that will actually knock the price down to 50%. But you do need a price in the list to be able to do that. So now I want to remove anything with ranks over, let's just say 150,000. Now, the reason I go wide is because if I find a product that is ranked, say, 30 or 40 or 50,000 over the course of 90 days, I would still be interested in that product. If I know that maybe I could order 90 days worth of product, get a discount from my supplier, and then just be able to reorder that every 90 days, that's a no-brainer for me. It's money on autopilot, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to sell 50 units a day for me to be interested in it. Now, this remove products if the number of sellers is more than, there's a lot of people who are, will teach, hey, you need to make sure that there's no more than 15 sellers. I would suggest against that, especially with the features that Alex just shared with us. You'll be able to dive much deeper. You'll be able to make a much better decision. If there are 50 sellers, but on a regular basis, only 2 or 3 are actually splitting the buy box, and you're selling 5 units a day across 3 sellers, for me, it would still be a no-brainer. I would just order accordingly, Okay, so I'm going to leave this completely blank. I'm also not going to worry about oversized products. If you get into a wholesale situation and you start shipping LTL, even with oversized products, you're going to be shipping in at 8-10 cents a pound. And so oversized products become really, really inexpensive to get to Amazon. Okay, it's already inexpensive, but they get even cheaper. Let's see here. Now, the one thing that I will do is if I'm going to look for a wholesale lead is I do worry about the rating of a product a little bit. The reason being is I don't want to go order 3-month supply of a product that's ranked 1.5 stars and it's getting a lot of returns or anything like that. So I will typically remove anything that has a rating lower than 2. That way I can see more, but I still have enough opportunity to be able to find plenty of wholesale leads, okay? I don't worry about remove products with an Amazon price less than X, and the reason being is I will sell a $9 or $12 product as long as I'm buying it for $1 or $2, okay? The rest of these I don't worry about. We don't worry about source titles. Not really going to worry about my costs right now because I really am just looking for phone numbers to dial for dollars, okay? We're not actually looking to find products that we know for sure are profitable. Profit and ROI, I'm also going to leave those blank. And then my other filters, I am going to do the also show Amazon out of stock results. If for some reason Amazon is out of stock, which means there are no sellers on Amazon, not Amazon themselves, no third-party sellers, okay? And I can actually find a distributor of that product. I have what I believe is a golden egg, at least until the supply runs out, in my opinion. Because if you can bring that back to market and you can bring it to market at a price that the market likes and will buy, and you can maybe negotiate yourself an exclusive or the ability to brand register that product, you could be sitting pretty on a fairly profitable item, okay? So I do want to see the out-of-stock results. Now, all you do from there is search this. It's going to go out and it's going to check all of the products that I've uploaded, all the ASINs I've uploaded, and it's going to make sure that they match the very few filters that I've put in. And then it's going to bring back exactly what I've asked for. And some of them may look unprofitable, but remember, we are looking for products to go out and find distributors for. Okay, so we'll go take a look at this. Yeah.
And don't forget that you can now run up to 10 scans at once. So if you've got a list of this for arts and crafts, a list of this for toys, a list of this for everything, you can just start a whole bunch of scans running so that that data is more than you can possibly handle in a very short space of time.
Absolutely. One of the things that made me actually think of this is there's a gentleman who hired an army of VAs, and these VAs go out and find products based on his criteria, and then they go out and they find phone numbers and email addresses. Well, the army of VAs is great. That's awesome. But they're not needed anymore with Tactical Arbitrage. You can literally run 1 million ASINs at a single time. Come back with just the ones that fit your criteria. Say you just want to sell, you want to get wholesale products that are in the pets category that are ranked from 25,000 to 50,000 over the last 90 days. Okay? You would be able to do that without having to hire a single VA. And then, and I'll show you this example product that I've shown a few other times. I'll show you how really easy it is to go out and find the actual distributors and the actual brands. Okay, so what we can see here is we get all of our data back. We don't worry about this price because it's at 0. We can go over and we can see Amazon is never in stock, never in stock, never in stock. So these are ones that I am really interested in. They may be private label. You're going to get a fair amount of that in the arts and crafts category. So this may not have been the best example, but you can see that Amazon is in stock on this Elmer's glue. Okay, so this may be one that I'm not really interested in. Let me open up the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay. And so that is exactly what you do to filter out the products. Now, let me show you how easy it is to actually go out and find these products once you have one, okay? So I'm going to take you to Amazon. And it was probably 6 months ago I actually found this brand. Now, since Amazon has actually come in and they're selling it. But let me find the right one here. I found this brand doing one of these reverse searches, or I'm sorry, one of these wholesale searches for wholesale leads. This LD Carlson. I believe they also go by Brewer's Best. They actually happen to be an Ohio company. Okay, so if you can see LD Carlson here, they have a yeast energizer. A lot of their products are in the industrial and scientific category. They do have an FBA offer. You can see that Amazon now sells their product. But 6 months ago or so, they were not selling all of their lines. There's actually an India Pale Ale beer kit that they were not selling. So this is literally all you have to do. And people who don't do much wholesale don't realize it, or anybody who might be newer to Amazon doesn't realize it. But this is literally all you do. If you just Google the brand name of the product, it comes up. But people then get stuck there, and they're like, I have no idea what to do from there. Well, if you go to a website, 9.9 times out of 10, there is some sort of contact us form. And you can contact via email, which will be usually from the menu, or it'll be down here at the bottom. And that's not the best way, because you're not always going to get a response. But it is one way. However, if you keep looking, a lot of times there's a phone number. And this is the number that I actually called. I called this 800 number, and I asked them about being able to sell this product, being able to buy it wholesale. And they told me that they were working on a deal, but they also were not the ones to be able to give me a yes or no, because this is just a brand of LD Carlson Company. So if you take this and you Google this, you actually get the parent company. And you can see that they're actually listed at the same address. You can then call them. They have a different 800 number. They actually have a different or something answering the phone. And they also have a Become a Customer button. So it's as easy as being able to fill out a form. Now, it's not going to happen like this every single time. However, this happens a lot more than a lot of people will tell you. Okay, it's easy to find numbers. It's easy to find these Become a Customer buttons. It's easy to find emails and contact forms. And then if you start looking around, you could use from here. You could actually use a site called SimilarWeb, and you'd be able to find other sites that are very similar to this, and you could start contacting them as well. And these would you just kind of use a little rabbit trail into finding accounts. So you don't have to go after Mattel and Hasbro and all of that to be a very successful wholesaler. Alex and I have another friend who he specializes in things you would never even think about selling. You wouldn't think about selling them, and he does a really great job at it, and he gets a bunch of exclusives because he thinks outside the box and around the corner and down the alley, rather than just trying to go and get an Oreo cookie account. So that is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to go about this.
Yeah, I know guys who sell like a extremely niche, obscure kitchen parts and absolutely killing it because it's just not a commonly thought of type thing to get. I know another guy who sells like plumbing fixtures and that kind of thing, those little O-rings and that kind of thing. And when you look at the estimated sales on these tiny little products, they're still moving like hundreds of units every month. But there's like 1-2 sellers on it. And they're not restricted products and that kind of thing. Those small little tiny computer parts as well, transistors, diodes, and that kind of thing. You can actually buy them in packs of like 10 or 20 or 50 from some of the PC part picker type sites. And they're selling piecemeal, like individually on Amazon for like a few bucks each. And nobody thinks to have a look at those few dollar items, but after fees and everything, and they're so small to actually send in and they weigh nothing, that there's good money in those. But that's, I prefer bigger ticket items myself, of course, but I'm just saying that if you think outside the box, there is tens of thousands of different niches that you can dive into, and just sticking to the mainstream is going to hurt you long term, particularly in the really hectic times of year like Q4. If everybody jumps into Target toys on Black Friday, you can guarantee there's going to be those repricer incidents as we talked about before, where people are racing to the bottom. Everybody's trying to sell Pie Face version 3 for that 1 week because they got it for $19 and it sells for $39. Well, it did sell for $39 before 400 sellers all bought it on the same afternoon and tried to sell it all at once. So that's what happens. Make sure you think outside the box. And when we get to Black Friday, keep in mind that there is catalogs for hundreds of places that come out. Catalogs everywhere. Many of those that you can search within Tactical Arbitrage. Many of those sites you can search within Tactical Arbitrage. It is tempting to go straight to, I won't say Toys R Us, rest in peace, but it's tempting to go straight to the Best Buys and the obvious choices. And usually, if you've managed to buy some stuff at Black Friday, if it is a good ranking item and there is good money in it, I will still say go ahead with it, because the velocity of sales at that time of year mean even if you're competing with somebody else, you'll probably still sell your 5 or 6 units at the price you want. Just make sure that you don't get caught into that repricer war. Make sure the estimated sales volume is there, and make sure you don't go too deep if it looks like everybody's going to be jumping on the same item. And you'll know where you should be starting to get a feel for, because a lot of this is a feeling, but you should know whether or not this is going to be a highly competitive item, whether it's a board game in a main category search with a good price margin on it for like just one day. You'll know if there's going to be a lot of competition on there, or whether or not you see something which isn't a great ROI, but you stacked in a couple of discounts that you found, like you bought yourself a raise card, which gave you an extra 10% price. You managed to stack in your cash back as well. That plus it's maybe not the main category and stuff, and you know that you put together the pieces in a way that probably the majority of people didn't put pieces in the way. So you're most likely going to be able to secure that 46% ROI that you've managed to create, and not be alongside a lot of others. And I'm talking Q4, but that applies all year long. If you put in the extra effort to stack the discount gift cards, use Chris's tool, the RevROI, to find the cashback sites as well. And you can also, of course, find discount gift cards through that as well. And also scrutinize the sites for not just the clearance category, but for site and category-wide discounts. If you stack all those, utilize the new tools to have a look about whether or not you're going to be able to price. Even at this time of year, if the sales velocity is there and you can sort of see that there's not many people competing with the buy box, you can make a better pricing decision. Then you're going to have a distinct advantage on not only being one of the only few sellers jumping on that, because not everybody's going to go through those additional tiers, but you'll also have the advantage of returning a higher profit than others, because you're not going to just get caught in a race to the bottom trying to basically put your price in there. When I very first got into this space, I would pretty much set my price as the buy box price or a little bit under it, because that's what I thought you had to do. That's before I sort of recognized that there's a lot more to the story. You need to have a look at the historical, the history of the price and the potential of the prospective future of the price, and the landscape, how it's shifting and changing, whether Amazon's going in and out of stock. There's just so many things. And then once you actually start seeing those variables, it becomes like that movie, A Beautiful Mind. And you start being able to sort of see a keeper graph and see the other sellers on the page and say, hang on a minute, I don't need to price this at $22. Very, very likely I can price this at $34, and within maybe 7 days, it's going to rotate me into the buy box, and I'm going to move those products. And therefore, I'm making the kind of profits that I need to make to stay in this game. Whereas other people who take all the easy steps, which is search just the toy category in Target. They don't stack discount cards. They don't stack cashbacks. They only price below the buy box. They set their reprices to go 1 cent lower than the person next to them. Those people sort of rotate in and out of the industry a lot more. It's only a few simple additional tweaks you've got to make to dominate this space, seriously. Mm-hmm. And then once you've got those base instructions laid down and you make that habit, then this industry is yours, honestly.
I'll actually tell you guys something that I've never told anybody. I don't think I've even told Alex this. So when you have a Chrome extension, there are not a ton of analytics that you can get. But one thing that you can get is you can know how many people actually click on the extension that's installed. Okay. So I know how many people have installed RevROI. And currently, there are just under 3,000 people who have RevROI installed on their computer. But I can see a little graph every single day, and I can see that at most 40 people use RevROI in any single day. It's never been higher than that.
That's terrible.
It is.
Like, when I'm going to do a webinar, sometimes I like to just maybe, I spend 10 minutes for a webinar. I can find deals in minutes. No problem at all. But I still don't always like to fly in completely blind. I don't like to start a webinar and be completely blind, because people don't want to be sitting there while I waste that 10 minutes finding something. So I might start by going to an Ebates sort of style store. Like right now, Ebates has got Shop and Earn Triple Cash, and 12 of those stores listed on their Triple Cash are actually Tactical Arbitrage stores. And, another little tip that I create my own little setting, like my own little domain cluster of those stores, so I'm not confused by all the other random stores. And so in my drop-down menu, I just see those. And that's something that anybody can do if they know how to utilize the settings properly. Mm-hmm. But, RevROI is an absolute must every time I'm getting ready for a webinar, because I need to go in there and just make sure that it's got the discounts, it's got the cashback cards stuff, so that when I'm showing it to people, they know what I'm talking about. I just don't think people are utilizing the discounts as much as they should. It's such a critical point. They have to. You must do this. And if there's just 20 people attending this right now, and I guess other people are going to watch this video afterwards, but I say it in every webinar as well, it's probably the most important filter, is stacking the discounts. Like stacking your cashback site, utilizing that properly, making sure it's the last link you press before you do the checkout. Checking on raise.com. Even if you just check raise, which is the most common one, you can get them pretty much in your email account within a minute of buying it, depending on the card. So make sure, if you're seeing a Target card that's $100 and you're getting it for $87 because it's 13% off, why wouldn't you buy that? It's 13 extra percent.
Every day.
13% plus your cash back, plus maybe Target's also got BOGO, buy one, get one. Buy one, get one is like 50% off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you stack all those and you're pretty much getting free stuff at that point to go and sell.
Chris, we talked about this last week when we were telling people that like one of the more underutilized features what people do, what they should be doing is signing up to all these websites and their email list, because they'll send you 10-15% off, or like sometimes the deals that they send you, or just for signing up they'll give you a 10 or 15, 20, 25% off.
Yep.
Yeah, make yourself a new email, and or actually these days it's pretty easy to compartmentalize within Gmail so that everything gets funneled into one particular folder, and just go through and sign up to all of the newsletters of all of the sites that are currently within TA for the countries that you're looking to sell in. I know it seems like a lot of work, but that's a good reason for a virtual assistant. You can just say, go do that, please. And also, if you've got any advanced user sites there where you've added yourself, make sure you add those in there as well. And then every morning, it's like Christmas Day, because you'll open up the Gmail for the day and it'll say, hi, scan these because these currently have 20% off this category, or these have 15% off the entire store today. So you might start with that email, then go check RevROI is probably the very next point you should check. Basically, that's it. Check that Gmail, click RevROI, go shopping. Scan and go shopping.
Yeah. You don't even have to be on the website anymore for RevROI to work. There is a search function now, so you can just search right from inside your email on RevROI.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Yep.
So, and I'll give you guys a perfect example of this in action. I practice what I preach. I sign up to every email list. I have them transferred over to a Google spreadsheet, which is for another time. I'll share that with you guys. But last week, Kohl's had 40% off everything, and nobody, like, I saw one person post about it in a small private group, and I saw it nowhere else. Not everybody got the 40% off, but most people did. And then Kohl's has 13.1% discount gift cards on a regular basis at Gift Card Zen. So now I'm up to 53%, plus 3% cash back, or maybe 4%, depending on where it's at. So I'm going to get 3% cash back on stuff that I paid 50% of retail price for.
So you've got your gift card spread 13.5%. You can additionally get cash back at, You Promise and iConsumer. I haven't had too much experience with those. Sometimes the cashback sites is better to use once you've got experience with. But right now, Ebates has got an additional 3%, and they're probably going to chuck Kohl's Cash at you as well for the process. So you're going to something percent plus Kohl's Cash.
I got $90 in Kohl's Cash on I think $1,000 spend.
How are they even still in business, honestly?
Discount gift cards, Raise, Gift Card Zen, Card Cash are excellent. Card Pool's not my favorite. Alex talked about You Promise. They're great. They also have a credit card that offers cash back. Extra cash back on top of their cash back. iConsumer, I don't care for. It just seems a little scam. I'm not against cryptocurrency, but they do pay in cryptocurrency, and I just don't trust them because they haven't been around but for like 8 or 9 months.
We should put a little RevROI button in Tactical Arbitrage that automatically populates that website URL, so that if we just say you selected Kohl's and then you click the RevROI button, it opened the RevROI extension if you have it. So maybe it needs to detect if you have it or whatever. And then because it saves that one extra click to the domain and then to open it. It just saves one. It might get used more if it's just a button that says more of an organic flow. So we should talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those cashback sites are not for Canadians, not all of them, but if you're doing US arbitrage, which I can't remember who told me, but someone said that it was like 70% of Canadians are selling on the US marketplace.
Yeah. Unfortunately, just being in Canada, there's no cashback sites and nobody sells their cashbacks, unfortunately.
So that part of the webinar about using cashback sites, it's a bit redundant for Canadians, I guess. So, but I mean, is it worth a run across the border to go grab some? And once I don't know. Obviously, that's not practical, but like it's more practical than me. Like I was going to Hawaii for a while, and then whenever I got to Hawaii, I was stocking up on as many discount gift cards as I could. But it was difficult for me in Australia to get cashback sites as well. There was a way, and I was trying to work it out. I got a Payoneer card, and I used VPNs, and I had to set up a secondary PayPal account using my Payoneer card and set it all to American. And once I put enough pieces in place, I was able to use, I think, Gift Card Zen to get discount gift cards that way. But it was a complicated process. But I think anything's possible if you're willing to sort of push through it. I couldn't write a guide for that because it felt like kind of sketchy just getting all the pieces in place until it finally came together and all my orders are going through. Yeah. But it is. I think everything's possible. The landscape's always changing though. So what I did a couple of years ago might not work as well now. But there's other ways to get discount. Let's say you're doing Amazon flips. You could utilize. There's a website which lets you spend Bitcoin and get up to 25% off Amazon by using Bitcoin.
Oh, nice.
So you could utilize that site that's called purse.io. You could utilize that site to sort of get your Amazon products shipped to you and then ship them back into Amazon on an Amazon to Amazon flip. So there's plenty of ways, being international, that you can still get the best combination of discounts, but you may have to think a little bit more laterally and outside the box to find that sweet spot that works for you.
Yeah. And Lisa, like you may have to hopefully just, if you know somebody in the US that can perhaps purchase it on your behalf. I know some of these cashbacks or some of these sites or gift card sites is very like IP based and won't accept like a Canadian address. I have like a grandfathered account with Card Cash. But I know like at some point, maybe like a year and a half ago, they kind of blocked Canadians from buying like gift cards over there. So it's a little bit of a hassle, but there's always like a workaround. So I have to get a little creative.
All right. Now, and I'm going to have to run at about 9:40. I got to pick my wife up from the airport, but I got one more thing to show you guys. And I'm not sure if I've ever talked to Alex about this. I have shared it in my private Tactical Academy Facebook group. And I don't know how many people are actually doing this. But if you guys are doing reverse searches, which actually it's one of my favorite ways to find product, because I can find products that are already on Amazon, reverse search them, and then just find the winners in between. And 25,000 is great, especially when you are running 10 scans at once. But if you ever really want to kind of push the limits with TA, you can actually do a reverse search in wholesale. And I don't know if Alex likes this or not, so I wouldn't go doing 10 of these at once.
I didn't care.
Okay, good. So it is possible to do just a reverse search. If you are not interested in doing any kind of wholesale at all, you could run 100,000 ASINs through wholesale as reverse search only to find more sources. And I'm going to show you guys how to set that up because it's just a way to kind of rev things up a little bit. So in wholesale, I'm going to need you to use your imagination a little bit because I don't have a 100,000 product, or I don't have 100,000 ASIN list on me, okay? But I do have a 25,000 ASIN list. And you're actually going to need to, let's just say that you're grabbing ASINs from, oh, actually, you know what? You don't need to do this anymore. Never mind. Sorry. This used to be something you had to mess the CSV with, but you don't have to. So you're going to import this manifest, and you'll see that we have this Arts, Crafts, and Sewing. And up here, you're going to want to also check UPC products for image matches. I like to throw that on just because of all the recent releases that have come out lately, this is one of my favorites. Image matches, I think, is incredibly underutilized for UPC products. Because remember, places like Kohl's and Target, it is a UPC match site, but not every product will have a UPC. And I don't know ratios or anything like that. I just know it happens. Okay. But when a UPC product doesn't come up, this little button here will allow it to be image matched. And so you're going to be able to see things that people who don't remember to click this button are not going to see, because on a UPC site, if there's no UPC, without this little button clicked, it gets skipped over, okay, because there's no match. Now, you've imported that manifest, and down here, you're going to want to put in your source price adjustments in your settings, and not here, because you're going to be doing multiple sites at once, okay? You can remove. I am typically using 30-day averages right now. Let's just say we want to do, now I'm going to be honest, I have changed the way that I do things. I used to say, you know what, cast a really wide net, go to 750,000 on your average 30-day ranks. I have brought that back a little bit because I'm able to run 10 scans at once, that it's darn near impossible to be able to go through all the data. There's just too much, okay? So I've knocked it back to about 500,000. And the reason I do that is because I also want to see out of stock products where maybe I can bring it back to market, okay? And I really don't want to miss those. One, because I've had really good luck with them. And two, I don't think that a lot of other people are looking for them. I'm not going to remove oversized products. I don't mind fixing weight and size data if Amazon doesn't currently have it. So if there's a listing that maybe a drop shipper built and they didn't put any weight or size data in it, but it's profitable, I'll fix it and send in my product. Don't worry about reviews or anything like that. With OA, I kind of look for those manually. I don't worry about source titles. This was something that was great before image matching and before quantity, the auto quantity feature that's been released. So I don't really worry about this too much. You can put your cost in here. So if you're using a prep center, you are going to want to make sure to put those in there as well. You'll notice I overestimate on shipping. My profit, I've been using 3 and 10, which is probably even a little tight. I could probably go a little bit looser and find some things, because I'm okay with making $2 or $3 if it's something that sells on a regular basis and there's just not anybody else on. Then down here in the other filters, I want to see also show Amazon out of stock results. And then these two over here, I want to show the also show reverse search results for more sources. And you want UPC stores and title stores. And you remember that title is now image match as well. So you're going to get some really great results in there. From there, you just click search, and this is going to go out and it's going to do a massive reverse search for you. And remember, you can upload up to 100,000 ASINs here. I would not do 10 just because I would feel bad about using that much space and calling the API so much. But you could do 3 or 4, and you'd have 300,000 or 400,000 ASINs being reverse searched for you at any one time. But that is a method that I use quite often for my reverse searches, and I can then run 8 product scans at once because Kohl's is having a sale, and almost slipped a store I'm running a search on now. Beauty Expert is having a sale, and all these other sites. So that is one way to kind of get more out of tactical arbitrage that a lot of people are not doing. So, any questions on that?
No, that's great. It's good to see. It's good to see various angles on how to run searches. The check UPC products for image matches is a fairly recent addition, and that's also, I think, underutilized. It does add a bit of time to the search, but of course, now that you can run the multiple searches at once, time is now your friend, because it doesn't matter if it's sort of laboriously going through a lot of data to dig out some results, because you might be running like 5 or 6 scans. Now, one thing that I haven't really advertised yet, but I'm probably going to be reducing a version of tactical arbitrage which allows you to do a lot less scans at once. So this isn't particularly useful for people, but it would be useful for people who are on the most expensive plan, who want to have all of the features, but at a cheaper price. Because I think that there's maybe a window there for me to do a reduced price tier of tactical arbitrage, which just lets you say run 2 scans at once. I mean, let's be honest, everybody up until now, including all of my competitors right now, can only let you do 1 scan at once still. So even just being able to do 2 at a time, for people who are brand new to the scene, they might like to sort of have that different tier option. That's more of an internal conversation that I've been sort of having in the back rooms, but it is something that I want to put out there. For those who are currently utilizing the multiple scans at once, 5 to 10 scans at a time, you understand that it's, things like using the check UPC products for image matches, you've got all the time as luxury now, so there's no worries anymore with just ticking every box that you want to tick and letting it take as much time as it takes. So this is an arts and crafts scan, is it?
Yeah, it is. That's the old one, I think. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
All right. I set mine to 25 because you get so many results, your eyes can kind of glaze over.
Yeah.
So I set mine really low, but you can see we've already got results. We've got Michael's, and I didn't even set any discounts in here, guys. My discounts are at 0 here. So, and we've already got results. So if you actually take the time to throw in discounts, do it. And I also just want to say to all you Canadians, if you guys happen to come south of the border, please stay out of my Myers. You could make a living there. All right. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I've got just 1 or 2 more items we'll go over, and then we can call it an evening. But I want to make sure I get any questions for anybody. Dang, have there been any from Facebook? I know you shared it to Facebook.
No. No, it's doing this funky thing for me. I can't view it. It says it's showing live, but I can't view it. So
Okay.
I'll see if I can find it on my phone. Yeah, it's not really.
is there any questions, guys? You guys have literally probably the 2 best people. If you have any question at all, regarding tactical arbitrage is probably the best time to ask it.
I can tell you what's coming to tactical arbitrage in the near future, if that's useful.
I love that.
Please do.
All right, so the first thing that's coming is not necessarily super exciting, but we're working on a lot of optimization stuff at the moment. So let's say, I mean, it's going to be minimal to most people, but let's say a page takes a few seconds before you get, you start seeing data or you start opening up a product search page. To me, any kind of slowness on any website is a clunky kind of a thing, and so we've been working on a lot of optimization. We've got another development site where we actually make a lot of tests, and we've had some significant improvements in just the overall flow and speeds of the site, which is good, and that's going to be reflected in some server changes as well in the near future. So that's a small thing as far as you guys may be concerned, but it'll just help the overall feel of the operation of the site. And if particularly on the view data page, when you open up a page with 1,000 rows, it's going to open up in a fraction of a second rather than you having to wait a few seconds. And I think that's just going to just give an overall better feel to the site. I'm only commenting it because it's an expensive feature to add, but it's at the end of the day, I don't know how many people are going to actually really understand that it's an improvement. As far as additional elements that are coming into the site, as far as feature-related tasks, we've got a few things in the cards at the moment. We're getting to the point where I want to sort of stop adding too many more columns. We're probably going to be adding something about the amount of time Amazon was out of stock in other periods, like 90%, 90 days, and maybe 365 days. We're enhancing the Amazon flips and the library sections. They're getting a little bit out of date. Library's still quite robust, but I wanted to actually go in and analyze a few more things in library to improve that. Flips definitely needs an overhaul. Amazon to Amazon flips, we should be able to, without any problem, generate actual return on investment figures based on times when Amazon is low and times when it is high, and try to work out what the return on investment could be based on that. So there's no real reason we don't have that column in there. So we're going to be diving in and adding that sort of stuff. There's a feature that I want to add to Tactical Edge, and we've developed an algorithm for it, which sometimes when somebody says that there's 3 items on the shelf, they actually have 500 items, but they've capped it at 3. And it actually shows in Tactical Edge as this person only has 3 items for sale. Now, it's got to do with just the way that the seller has set it up with Amazon as to how many they're willing to sell at a time. And it's only a fraction of sellers that place these caps on, usually brand names, when they have a sale, they don't want people to come in and buy 10 of the same item. Or when Amazon has a sale or goes back into stock on an item that they've been out of stock on for a while, they usually have a cap of, say, two items or something per person. Now, that cap gets reflected in stock levels, and it appears that we only have sort of 2 stock levels, 2 items in stock, or 3 items in stock. So I'm going to be able to identify those and put a flag up, which actually says this particular seller probably has a lot more than just 3 items on the shelf because they are using a capping system. That's going to help with Tactical Edge. And in addition, where it says 10 plus in Tactical Edge, where it says there's only 10 items sold by this seller, we've got another endpoint that we've discovered through our code that allows us to say, well, actually, no, they have 163 items, not over 10. So when you are making those pricing decisions, if you are able to see that this seller is capped and this seller actually has 150, not just more than 10, it'll help you make pricing decisions better based on the estimated sales. So that's coming in soon. I can pretty much pick every single page of TA and every single column of every single page and there's some kind of enhancement that's in the works. There's enhancements to like variation lists being more robust. There is a lot of stuff coming. We're right now, we're going through every single website in the online arbitrage sectors of product search, and we're making sure that they're working properly. We're fixing them, or if they need a bigger fix, we're turning them off. So we normally have like just over 900 sites available on TA, and if you look on the TA site list right now, it's dropped down to about 860. And the reason for that is because we have been making the sites all work. So all of the sites in the US store right now should actually work. And we're carving through the UK sites right now to get those fixed, and immediately will be followed by the Canadian sites. So if you notice a drop in the number of Canadian sites, the ones that are remaining should all be working well, and then there'll be fixes in the works for those. We get a lot of requests for a lot of features all the time. We've probably got about 850 requests and actual features that we've written down ourselves to work on, and some of them will never get made because they're simply not good requests. Some of them are excellent requests. Some of them are multiples of the same requests, which helps me realize that they're in high demand. And some of them are things that I've come up with myself, or maybe things that have been discussed at this webinar, like today, like saying to Chris that we should add a RevROI button in the product search page. So there's a lot coming, and when I feel like it's robust enough and mature enough in every single aspect, then I'll start looking at adding in the European fulfillment network for the European guys, and also cross-checking against recent eBay sales in case you feel like it's not necessarily selling that well on Amazon, or there's a race to the bottom happening on Amazon, but I can tell you it's consistently selling well on eBay at $5 higher than that. Then you might say, well, look, I don't want to wait. I'm just going to go sell this on eBay instead. So there's a lot that's coming to help you be a better online seller. And I'm always open to any suggestions and site suggestions or whatever you've got in mind as well. So keep them coming in, especially those site suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of questions I want to hit regarding suppressed buy boxes. I'll tell you, if you read enough out there about them, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, in my opinion. Amazon is suppressing buy boxes because they want you to lower your price and so on and so forth. But you really need to check the MSRP and make sure the MSRP actually matches. Sometimes you'll notice an MSRP gets pushed down to, $20 on a $75 product, and then the algorithm may actually suppress the buy box. It may be something as simple as that. I don't know if there's something nefarious going on with our Bezos overlord or not. But I would just look into it. And honestly, yes, a suppressed buy box will hurt sales velocity some, but I've never seen it hurt that bad that I don't buy because a buy box is suppressed.
I don't. Well, I think it's a psychology thing. Everybody's psychology on the subject is different. My psychology on it has always been this. If it's a suppressed buy box, very likely it's much higher than the recommended retail list price. Amazon's obviously doing something about that. They're basically saying, look, it's two or three times the recommended retail price. It doesn't really reflect well on Amazon if we say that is what we stand by as the price of this item. So at some point they kind of jump in and say, well, look, we're not really going to be on board with making that our front of house presented price, but there are sellers here who are selling it. Feel free to jump on in. In those instances, that's when I would suggest everything that I ever sold that has a suppressed buy box did sell. Everything. Because customers know that they need to click through to the seller and buy from there. It's probably pretty important to be competitive in that particular instance. You want to sort of remain priced in a way that you're going to get attention, because they're going to be looking at a list of 10 sellers, and the ones that are sitting at the top of that list are more likely to catch their eye. So So I think that's pretty important. It's a different kind of mindset when they're looking at that page versus looking at a buy box, and you need to sort of take that into account. But I don't really have a problem with suppressed buy box myself personally. In fact, I know that if I'm selling and it's a suppressed buy box, chances are I'm getting a really decent return on investment. It might take an extra few days to sell that item, but I'm going to get paid well for it.
And a great example is the pie face that Alex brought up earlier. I was on the pie face listing when there were 400 sellers, and it was a suppressed buy box, but people were buying that stupid game at $90 a pop. And then there was the Chewbacca mom. Those Chewbacca masks got up to like $235, and we still sold through 80 of those. So suppressed buy boxes don't. Yeah, I think one of the reasons Amazon really does it, because I don't think Jeff Bezos really cares about what the price is. I think the reason they really do it is because every time that happens, Amazon gets a black eye in the press. Let's see here. Is library search working properly for Canada? I actually was just checking Canadian library search today, and it worked. It was working perfectly.
Yeah, the non-US countries for library, I'll need to do a fresh spot check on. It's got to do with the way that the buy box works again. In America, it's quite standard to present the FBA seller in the buy box and have those really low motion fulfilled prices available that you know how to get utilizing the search. But UK was one that always sort of messaged me, and it got to a point where I said, look, the way the buy box structure is there's almost no way that you can do it, because what they would do is they would just put in the absolute lowest motion fulfilled seller into the buy box, which made it so that you couldn't really buy it and then resell it like hoping to grab that FBA seller, because it just wasn't structured in that manner. I haven't checked that in a while, I got to admit, and I know that they were doing some changes to the buy box setup, and they're always messing with things. If it's returned to the way that we like it for all countries, then I'll certainly be posting about it, because a lot of people have been waiting on that to get fixed to a way that suits us better. But yeah, Amazon doesn't always do things to suit us better.
No kidding. Okay, so now that we're here at the end, I do want to make sure I did share a link earlier. I want to make sure you guys all get that for free. But Dang did also ask me to put something together. So I put together what I call a Dang deal, okay? I'm going to share the link with you guys, and I'm going to show you what it is. But what this is this is going to be kind of Tactical Academy on steroids, all right? So it is a little bit more expensive than usual, but what you're going to do is, if you want to get into Tactical Academy, plus you're going to be able to grab 6 months suspension support, which is from Nate and myself. Nate has written hundreds of suspension letters. I have written dozens. You get Prime Zero Prep, which happens to be a friend of ours who owns a prep company in tax-free New Hampshire. You also get 25% off your first OA order, and that means you could send in 5,000 items in your first OA order and get 25% off. You also get 1 free month of access to Tactical Bucket. I'm actually building some content for Tactical Bucket right now. There is so many features and tools in Tactical Bucket that even if you didn't get a free month, it is an excellent resource to use with Tactical Arbitrage. And I suggest everybody go at least get a free account to be able to go in and poke around. You get OA Highlight, which is a Chrome extension that Nate built. You get my Stock Up Chrome extension for free. And then I threw in a couple of extra bonuses. I threw in the top 500,000 ASINs in each category, which you'll be able to use in reverse search or with the wholesale reverse search that I shared tonight. And now this is every category except for things like books, appliances, and CDs. So
I
you're
think
talking
you undervalued that bonus. 500,000 ASINs in each category. I've seen people sell 100,000 ASINs for $49 for toys back in the day. So I think that's an extremely good bonus. It's a little dark horse you've got in there.
Forgive me, this $49.95 value, I just copied it from the other bonuses, so I apologize for that. This bonus number 7, this is actually the exited ASINs for the last 30 days in each category as well. And there's a reason why I think exited ASINs are really cool. A lot of times you've got items that go out of stock. You've got things that just move out of the top 500,000. Because the price is ridiculously high, and maybe only companies like Drop Air have it in stock anymore for 7 times the regular retail price. But it would sell well if you brought it back in line with what the market bears. And if you think 500,000 ASINs is a lot, exited ASINs over the last 30 days can be upwards of 1 million in some of the larger categories. So you get that as well. And then bonus number 8 is actually going to be every single top 100,000 seller, except for the ones that don't have anything in stock. So if you did want to flip books from someone who is merchant fulfilling books, you'd actually be able to library search all of their things and things like that. So top 100,000 sellers, including links to their storefront. And then, of course, we've got our exclusive discounts. You get $50 off Storefront Stalker Pro. I actually give you 3 months free of RevROI rather than $10 off because I changed the way that it works. You get $10 off my BrickSeek add-on. I do have some tactical bucket credits. And then we've got several others that are unannounced in here. Now, you also get access to the Tactical Arbitrage Academy Facebook group. I do actually owe some videos in there. Now, on top of all of this, to make it worth the $597, I decided that I would limit it to 10 people because for every person who buys, I'm going to give you a 1-hour hands-on consultation where we get in, we dive into tactical arbitrage together, and we do a tailored coaching session for you based on what you want to know and what you want to do in your business, where we record it and you get a copy of the video afterwards, and everybody who picks that up will get an hour. So if you guys want to do that, I put the link in there. It is tactical-academy.com/dang-deal. And if you guys want to grab that, you are more than welcome, and I will get you guys all set up with all your bonuses and your hour coaching with me.
And Chris, for those 10 people, I'll also give them $10 a month off their whatever membership they get for the life of their subscription as well. So.
That's killer.
That's awesome.
All right. So that is what I have for you guys. Of course, I'm here if you have any questions. That dang deal is good until Saturday night, I believe until 11 p.m. Eastern time. And then it goes away even if we don't sell out of them or anything like that. It'll just be gone forever because I've never put something like this together. I honestly sell this at such an inexpensive price that I typically don't offer like one-on-one, but I thought this would be a really great way to try to offer as much value to people who do this as possible. So any questions or anything for me before we sign off for the night?
None from me.
I just want to say that's really appreciated, both of you guys. I want to echo Lisa's sentiment. Like it's crazy. Like you've been doing this for a few years now, Alex, and just the fact that that you're still here, getting on webinars and getting direct feedback from people so that you can continually improve on tactical arbitrage, speaks volumes. And Chris, thank you so much for putting that offer together. I'm not, you know me, I'm never about the hard sell. I think that, when people are ready, when people know, can see value, that they're going to jump in on it. So thanks for putting
Definitely. Although I've got to say that every person I know who's used Tactical Arbitrage and been confused and then done Tactical Academy, it's become, his training is so much better than my own personal. I'm so busy down in the bunkers actually just adding new features. I sometimes neglect to do the videos and content that I've got, and it was such a godsend. And I know he charges for it, but it was such a godsend to me when Chris came up with the Tactical Academy. We do have a series of videos in TA, which is essentially a very cookie cutter how to use Tactical Arbitrage. It's sort of like an instruction booklet, but it is not about, it doesn't really dive into the tricks and tips and how to profit in Tactical Arbitrage that Chris has put together with the Tactical Academy. And I know everybody who's jumped in and actually utilizes that has made back their investment many times over. So for those who have been on the fence in the past and are already past, I would say if you're already sort of past the basic stages of getting to know how to use Tactical Arbitrage in like just the basicest of it, and you're ready to take it to that next level, I can't recommend it highly enough. And I know that Dang said it's not about the hard sell. I'm certainly not making a red cent out of it, but I do absolutely believe that there is no better resource available on the internet to learn Tactical Arbitrage than Chris. And that includes myself. That includes what I can teach you, because I just don't have the time, the resources, or the tutorial type structure that he's put together there. And I personally think it's great. So yeah.
This is an endorsement from the creator of the software. So sign up with Chris.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us. I appreciate being here. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chris. Really, really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
No worries. See you again.
Take care, guys.